page 3 in the book, so you can be there and be ready. So, guys, what we're going to do is we model this. I'm not starting the demo, but I'm talking to everyone. What we're going to do first is we make sure everybody can see your name tags, because we want to try to pass off by name. But what I'm going to do before we dive into the lesson is, again, remind students what skill it is that we're trying to work on. So I'll just do that briefly at the front side of the lesson. We'll go ahead and start reading, and then what the mission is of the students is to pass off every so often. And what I would ask you to do is don't read perfectly beautifully. Have a little hiccups here and there, but don't take 5 minutes to try to decode one word, because we want to kind of really try to show. Yeah, I know what you're thinking, Brandon. You're trying to kill me. I know. Pardon?
Right around it too.
Yeah. So, and again, as you pass off, it's easy to get into the circle method, but that's not what this is about. It's about passing off. So Bill might read, and he might look and pass off to Sean, and then Sean might read, and he'll pass off to me, and I might pass off to Brenda, passes off to Betsy, passes off to Les, but it's ping-ponging around. And you're reading 2, 3, 4, maybe a short paragraph at a time. So that is our goal. Questions before we start of any of our brave volunteers? Questions from anyone in our studio audience?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Where's the applause?
Yeah, that's the advanced reading course. We need to go that with the applause. Okay. Okay. Okay, channel mind. Our motivation is to help adult educators learn how to do this technique. Okay. Guys, glad to see you here again today, and I know you've been looking forward to reading our next chapter in La Vida Real, the book that we've been reading here over these past few weeks. So just to remind you just a few minutes about what skills we're going to work on as we go through. Les and Bill, remember, we're going to work on our word accuracy with this, and really especially see if we come across those words that are 2 or 3 syllables. We're really going to work about decoding them and using those skills of prefixes that we've learned for those. So that will be your mission. Brenda and Betsy, remember, you're really working with this with your rate and prosody, really focusing on slowing down there at the commas, taking the pause, and really stopping for a brief second at the periods at the end of those sentences. And Sean, remember what we've talked about also with the rate and prosody skills, that we'll be working at really using some more voice inflection as we work going on through. So that's always our mission as we go through. So I'm going to go ahead and start. We've got a new chapter going, so we don't need to review a whole lot about what was going on, because this is a new part of the story. So I'll go ahead and start, and then as always, we'll pass off from one to another just at random as we go through, and everybody knows everybody's name. Okay, so this chapter is entitled Alvara. It was so dark in the desert. There was no moon at all that night. One really clear memory I have is of my mother telling me not to sit down on the big flat rocks. The rocks were still warm from the day, so that's where the rattlesnakes slept. Alvara doesn't make eye contact when she talks about the night she and her mother joined 24 others in the small border town of Naco in Sonora, Mexico, for what she simply refers to as the crossing. Okay, Betsy, please.
There's a Naco on both sides of the border, one in Arizona and one in Mexico. Alvara explains that's how it got its name, Na from the end of Arizona and Co from the end of Mexico. And on that night in 1996, when Alvara was 10 years old, she held her mother's hand tightly as the quiet group huddled together outside of an old hotel. Bill?
The rundown and mostly boarded up hotel was a common meeting spot for those who were planning to cross the Mexican-United States border illegally. We had to wait for a coyote to lead us to a safe place to cross, Alvara continues. There are a few miles of a tall wall that separates the 2 Nacos, and there are lots of border patrols right in the area, but a little further out. Sean.
Here, Alvara's voice trails off as she thinks back to the night. A cow is a paid guide who knows the paths and trails that are safest to follow. He knows where the wall turns into a simple bar fence, and he knows where the holes in the fence are. Coyotes are paid a lot of money for their services, sometimes more than 100 per person, most of those being guided by the coyote are quiet, poor, and must borrow from or be given the money by a friend or really already in the U.S. Beth?
Okay.
Oh, Brian?
Oh.
Sorry.
My father has always been in the United States for almost 2 years, working very hard to save money so that we can be all together. He worked 2 and sometimes 3 different jobs. During the day he did landscaping, and then he was on the line at a meat packing factory at night. Alvera paused. A flash of anger darkened her face. You know, I often hear people say that what my father did, and then what my mother and I did, that we were wrong. We're criminals, some people say, but anyone who says that just doesn't know. Alvera takes a deep breath, trying to calm her emotions. We didn't have a choice. That's just a fact. It was either stay or starve or take our chances coming north. You can see we didn't have a choice. Les?
Alvera was born in a rural village in the state of Oaxaca in southern coastal Mexico. Home was a roughly constructed adobe building with a thin roof that leaked when it rained. The floors were dirt and there was no electricity and no plumbing. The kitchen, for many people in the community, was a stone oven and fire in the middle of the village. Every day, women of the village would meet to put together enough food for everyone to have at least 1 meal a day. That meal usually consisted of tortillas and a bowl of beans. Alvera's family was fortunate enough to have their own stove oven and fireplace in their home. Steve?
Alvara was also luckier than many of the children in the village. Most of the children began working before they were even 10 years old. But Alvara's parents made sure that their daughter attended school. Bill?
No education means you stay poor. That's what my parents always said. Neither of my parents even finished the 3rd grade, so they knew what they were talking about. Alvera says they could read and write, but just barely. The school Alvera attended was constructed of 4 poles holding up a palm leaf roof. Students of all ages sat together in a circle, stumps and rocks serving as chairs. But as low as the surroundings were, Alvera was glad to be there. Her teacher was patient and generous, often spending his own money to supply students with a very few books, sheets of paper, pencils they had. Alvera learned to read and write, and she even learned some basic English. Little did she know at the time how valuable the skill would become one day. Betsy.
Okay, we're going to stop. Beautiful job. Give our panelists a hand here. Well done, and thank you all so much.
Can we keep the book?
Maybe. Yes, you can. If you want to, you can keep the book. Sure. Never let it be said I never gave you anything.